Hi lovelies, and welcome back to BrittneyOriel. Thank you for tuning in yet again to another one of my videos. Today's video is going to be about my favorite pastime, sleep. As we know, sleep is very vital for our important body functions as well as our brain activity, and it's a no-brainer that the quality and quantity of sleep that we get affects our mood, our appearance, our performance, and of course our tolerance for others. We have all been sleep deprived at some point in our life and really was just not in the most sociable and pleasant mood out. In this video, we're going to talk about what controls sleep, the importance of sleep, things that you may be doing in your life that is negatively impacting the quality and quantity of sleep that you get, as well as the negative consequences that come from that lack of sleep. And of course, I'm not going to present a problem without solutions and tips. And I will also touch on teenagers and help explain why they have such a different sleeping pattern when they're going through puberty. Really and truly, this video is going to be applicable to all. So whether you're a teenager, whether you're an adult, or whether you're a child, at the end of the day, we all need sleep. So I really hope that you all enjoy this video, and stay tuned to the end of this video where I will be making a very cool announcement. This will be the announcement that I spoke about in my last video that I couldn't say then, but I can say now. So stay tuned at the end of this video for that announcement, and I really hope that you all enjoy my content. There are two factors that affect your sleepiness and alertness. First off, we have your sleep-wake balance. This relates to how long it has been since you last slept. So this is going to be dependent on your day-to-day schedule and if you got enough hours of sleep before you have to be up again. So if you got 6 to 7 hours of sleep, and of course if you are a person that takes naps during the day, this is going to affect your sleep and wake balance. Secondly, we have our circadian rhythm, which is also known as our internal body clock. Your circadian rhythm tells you when it's time to be asleep and when it's time to be awake, and this occurs no matter how much sleep you got the night before. This biological clock is controlled by two hormones, and these hormones are regulated by signals in your brain. The first hormone is melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that induces sleep. And then we have cortisol, and cortisol is the hormone that makes you feel alert and basically wakes you up. Everyone has different sleep patterns depending on your age, and there's different sleep patterns just depending on the person that you are. These sleep patterns are controlled by the circadian rhythm. There are 3 types of sleep patterns, and these sleep patterns are defined by animals, funny enough. So first off, we have larks, then we have owls, and then we have hummingbirds. The first sleeping pattern that we talk about are larks. A perfect example of a lark is an infant, and of course it is not limited to infants. Infants are just a perfect example of the lark sleeping pattern. So basically, larks wake up early and go to sleep early. They tend to be up before 6 a.m. and typically don't even need an alarm, and they want to be in bed by 9 p.m. They are most alert around noon, and they're most productive a few hours before they have lunch. They prefer early morning activity like a bunch of freaks. However, they tend to get better sleep. The second sleep pattern are owls. Perfect examples of owls are teenagers. Again, it is not limited to teenagers. Teenagers just represent a group that adopts the sleep pattern of an owl. So owls tend to sleep late and wake up late. They wake up naturally around 10 a.m. and they don't want to go to bed before 3 a.m. They are most alert around 6 p.m. and they are most productive in the late evening into night. They prefer evening activity like normal people, and they tend to build a sleep debt. The last sleeping pattern are hummingbirds. Hummingbirds basically categorize anyone that finds themselves not really a lark or an owl. So anyone that's more larkish, more owlish, or anywhere in between can be categorized as a hummingbird. Now I'm going to briefly explain the sleep pattern shifts that occur in teenagers when they go through puberty. Teenagers experience a hormonal time shift. When this happens, their body clock shifts forward 1 to 2 hours. So basically, they feel sleepy 1 to 2 hours later, and they want to wake up 1 to 2 hours later. So before puberty, they will start to feel sleepy around 8 to 9 p.m. When they experience puberty between the ages of 10 to 12, they experience a natural shift in their sleep patterns called a sleep phase delay, which now makes them sleepy at 10 or 11 p.m. On top of that, teenagers experience a rev up in energy between 7 to 8 p.m., creating a no-sleep zone between 9 to 10 p.m., which is the typical time when adults start to feel drowsy. So basically, melatonin is released later in teens and is produced longer in teens. This is necessary because teenagers need more sleep because they are undergoing rapid body growth as well as ongoing brain development. So to wrap up this section on teenagers, teenagers need 9 to 10 hours of sleep However, teenagers very rarely even get 6 to 7 hours of sleep. Now we move on to the important functions of sleep. Sleep is important for the restoration of your body. While you are asleep, your body repairs and rejuvenates itself. So muscles grow, tissues repair, proteins are synthesized, and growth hormones are released. These growth hormones are very important in teenagers because growth hormones are released mostly, if not only, when you are asleep. Sleep is important for the rejuvenation of your energy. When you're awake, the neurons in your brain produces a byproduct called adenosine. This adenosine causes a sleepy and tired feeling. Only when you go to sleep, your brain has a chance to clear off the adenosine and allow you to wake up feeling more alert. If you don't sleep, that adenosine just builds up and builds up when your neurons in your brain works and just continues to produce adenosine as a byproduct. And all adenosine is going to do is just keep making you feel sleepy and tired. And a fun fact, caffeine actually counteracts the effect of adenosine. So that is why caffeine works to make you feel more alert, because the tiredness that adenosine causes, the caffeine counteracts that effects, like what I just said. So yeah, now you understand why you drink caffeine and you feel alert when, While you are asleep, your brain creates new connections and rewires itself. This is also called brain plasticity. Only while you are asleep, your brain has an opportunity to change itself. So when I say change, I refer to the change in proportion of gray matter of your brain, also the strengthening or weakening of synapse, which can also be referred to as learning and memory. So I'm going to quickly explain why synapse are related to learning and memory. So what a synapse is basically the connection between two neurons. So if this is a neuron and this is a neuron and they create a connection, this connection in between is called a synapse. Between the synapse is when information is exchanged from one neuron to another neuron. So if you learn something new for the first time, so let's say you learned a definition. When you learn that definition, you create a new synapse. So this represents your memory. Only when you go to sleep does your brain have a chance to strengthen this synapse. Also, while you sleep, your brain has an opportunity to weaken synapse. And why would you want to weaken synapse? At the end of the day, you don't need memory of everything you learned. So I'm pretty sure that there's stuff in your childhood that you don't remember. So what would have happened? The more you use that synapse, is you stronger and stronger it gets. But if you don't use a synapse or memory, then that synapse is going to get weak and weak and weak, and basically it will detach if you lose a particular memory. And when it detaches, it just becomes other neurons and gives an opportunity for you to learn new things and create new synapse. So all of that happens only when you go to sleep. This is why for those who pull all-nighters and learn a bunch of work the night before and don't go to sleep before an exam, only when you sleep can your brain strengthen the memories that you make. So even an hour of sleep makes a very big difference. This leads me into my last point on the importance of sleep, that being learning. Only when you are asleep can you learn information. Learning occurs in three functions: acquisition, consolidation, and recall. Acquisition is the introduction of new information. Consolidation is when a memory becomes stable and stored, and recall is the ability to access information after it is being stored. When you are awake, you can only do two of those functions, which is acquisition, get in new information, and recall, access stored information. Only when you are asleep can you consolidate information. Going back to my point with pulling an all-nighter, if you acquire information and then you expect to recall information the next day without going to sleep and allowing your brain time to consolidate the information, you are not going to fulfill all three functions of learning. Now that we understand how sleep is controlled and also how important sleep is, we're going to discuss things that you may be doing in your life that can be hampering the quality and quantity of your sleep. You see that light behind your phone, your television, and your laptop? Do you know that that light actually suppresses the production of melatonin, which is the hormone that makes you feel sleepy? So for those that practice going to sleep on their phone or on a laptop until they get sleepy, you are actually hampering yourself, because the longer you have that light in your eyes is the longer it's going to take for your body to produce melatonin and get you sleepy. Doing activities that require a lot of brain energy right before your sleep. So a good example of this is if you practice doing your homework right before you go to bed, or doing projects, or sending emails, even playing computer games, and even listening to loud music. All these activities keep your brain active and up right before you go to sleep, so it's going to make it harder to settle your brain down, attempting to go to sleep in an uncomfortable environment. So if your room is not at a cool temperature, if your mattress is lumpy or your pillows are uncomfortable, if there's a lot of noise around you, if there's a lot of light in your room, or if there's even light coming in from your window, these factors are going to make it harder for you to go to sleep. A very unfortunate and somewhat uncontrollable factor that teenagers have to deal with. You see that early start that your school has, where basically all the people that come to school, all the students, don't stop producing melatonin until 9 to 10 a.m. Yeah, that early school time really doesn't work out in your benefit. So I really don't know what you could do about it. I do encourage you all to do a petition against the early school time, simply because of your biological makeup, and I will gladly sign your petitions. So hit me up if you're interested in doing a petition to start school later. You may think sleeping late on weekends is going to help by catching up on the sleep that you lost during the week, but it actually makes it even harder to fall asleep at a reasonable hour during the week. What you consume during the day, and especially closer to your bedtime, is going to affect your sleep. So if you consume caffeine, nicotine, sugar, alcohol, and chocolate before bedtime, you're going to have problems going to sleep. Also, if you are someone that has a meal with a lot of protein in it before you go to sleep, a meal with a lot of protein in it gives you a bunch of energy. You're going to end up in bed with a bunch of energy running through your system while you try to sleep. Having a routine that keeps you indoors during the day, where basically you go through the whole day without being exposed to sun, it is going to hamper your quality of sleep, because when you are exposed to sunlight, your body signals that as this is not the time to produce melatonin, the sun is out, and outside of when you are not in the sun, your body is going to signal that as okay, the sun is out, the sun is down, and now it's time to produce melatonin so that you can go to sleep. So if you go through your day without being exposed to sun, you are not going to train your body to know when it's time to produce melatonin and when it's time to not produce melatonin. And last point, if you travel across time zones, of course you're going to have a problem with your sleep, because you're going to have to fall asleep either earlier or later than you are accustomed falling asleep. But also, again, going back to the sun exposure, if you are in a place where the sun doesn't set until a late time, and you are normally in a country where the sun sets from 6 to 6, you are going to have issues, because again, your body is going to be exposed to a prolonged amount of sunlight, and that is going to make your body kind of go out of whack, and it's going to go through a period where your body has to adjust to when it should produce melatonin and when it should not produce melatonin. Now we're going to go through all the negative consequences that you face when you lack the sufficient amount of sleep that you need. Acne. You are going to end up with more pimples and blackheads if you don't get enough sleep. Weight gain and obesity. When we are asleep, our body produces hormones that control our appetite, energy metabolism, as well as glucose processing. When we lack sleep, we end up with higher levels of insulin, lower levels of leptin, which is the hormone that tells our brain that we had enough food, and higher levels of ghrelin, which is the hormone that stimulates our appetite. So when we have higher levels of the hormone that stimulates our appetite, lower levels of the hormone that tells our brain that we had enough food, we end up overeating. And of course, we have a lower level of metabolism, so therefore we end up gaining more weight than we normally will if we sleep the way that we should. Mental efficiency. A lack of sleep negatively affects our learning and memory, as we learned before, and also our ability to focus as well as access higher level of cognitive activities. In particular, for teenagers, this results in poor academic performance. A lack of sleep affects your irritability as well as your mood, and as a result, you end up experiencing social withdrawal. You also experience aggressive and inappropriate behavior. There is an increased risk of depression, anxiety, as well as suicidal thoughts. You may experience nervousness as well as hyperactivity. You increase your risk of getting type 2 diabetes, heart disease, as well as hypertension. You also decrease your immunity against illnesses. Experiencing sleep deprivation causes you to increase your use of caffeine as well as nicotine, and also results in an increased use of alcohol, because of the sedative properties of alcohol, makes you feel sleepy. But then also when the alcohol is processed in your body, you end up getting aroused. So if you want to feel sleepy again, you end up using more alcohol. When you lack sleep, your judgment is impaired. So you poorly assess situations, make plans, as well as choose appropriate behavior. And lastly, a very important negative consequence to pay attention to for those that drive. When you drive, when you are sleep deprived, you significantly increase your risk of car accidents. Now I will share some solutions and tips to those that are really interested in increasing their quality and quantity of sleep. Avoid drinking caffeine, fizzy drinks, sugary drinks, and chocolate, especially close to your bedtime. Reduce your frequency of alcohol and nicotine intake. If you do have an uncomfortable mattress, please consider getting a new mattress, as this will make a significant difference in the quality of sleep that you get. Make sure that you are exposed to natural light during the day so that your body interprets it as during the day you are not supposed to produce melatonin, and then it will be easier for your body to produce melatonin at the night. Exercise daily. First off, try to get an exercise that is outdoors so that you have that exposure to the sun. And also, please ensure that you don't exercise close to your bedtime, because when you do exercise close to your bedtime, you increase your body temperature, your heart rate, etc. and it makes it harder to settle down when it's time to go to sleep. Take more naps. Naps are very important and highly beneficial. I will say that a nap that goes above 1 hour is actually more detrimental than beneficial, because you're going to end up feeling groggy, etc. and you're really going to lose all the benefits that comes with naps. So there are a lot of benefits, and I don't want this video to be too long, so I will list all the benefits and maybe some links to help you all better understand the benefits behind taking a 1 hour nap when the day comes. Please refrain from going on your bed and going on your laptop, chatting on your phone, watching television, doing work on your bed. Try to associate your bed only with sleep, so that when you are on your bed and you are in that position lying down, your body interprets this as a familiar place that we only go when it's time to sleep. Have a healthy breakfast in the morning and ensure that your breakfast is filled with live food. When I say live food, I mean food that actually gets its energy directly from the sun. So we are all familiar with food groups and food chains, etc. So please ensure that at least a good portion of your breakfast has energy from the sun in it. So guys, my camera died. I charged it and I tried to record with it again, and it died again, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, so I'm really not going to sit down and wait for it to charge much longer. So basically, if the audio or if the quality change, it's because I'm recording on my phone now, so bear with me while I finish up this video. Practice early bedtimes. A good way to practice an early bedtime is to actually set an alarm 1 hour before the time you want to be in bed. And when this alarm goes off, you basically make sure that you have everything done. So you pack up your bag, you organize your stuff for work the next day, you do all your chores, you clean up, you get your room sorted out, so that within this hour, you make sure you get everything you have to get done, so that when bedtime comes around, it's just time to go to sleep. Choose restful activities before you go to bed. My recommendations are reading or writing. So reading a good book is a nice way to settle you down and keep you away from a screen before you have to go to sleep. And also writing. So if you like to journal, this is a good way to take all the stuff that may go through your head when you're trying to sleep out and onto paper, so that when you settle down, there's nothing much clouding your mind and you could peacefully go to sleep. Also, I recommend that you consider doing to-do list, or I guess like a next day plan. So all the things that you have to do the next day, you make a list before you go to sleep, so that you don't end up in bed remembering, oh yeah, I have to remember this and I have to remember that tomorrow. You just have peace of mind before you go to sleep. Create a relaxing environment before you go to bed. So dim your lights, make sure your room is at a cool temperature, and even play some soothing music. Create and practice a relaxing bedtime routine. So taking a bath right before you go to bed is a good way to make sure that you have a nice calm sleep. Also, taking a bath and using creams that have nice scents may help. Also, listening to comforting music, and even having a cup of tea. Obviously not a caffeinated drink, but more like a peppermint tea or a chamomile tea, something soothing and relaxing before you go to bed. If you practice this routine, it's going to create a signal in your mind that when you start this routine, it already knows that, okay, we're going to sleep just now, and your brain and body starts to relax before bedtime. Ensure that your room is dark in the night and bright in the morning. This will help again signal to your body that it should not or should produce melatonin depending on the absence or presence of light. Having a meal high in carbs before you go to bed is a good way to get you all warm and fuzzy and sleepy. So my recommendations, of course, you don't want to just stock up on carbs before you go to sleep. So recommendations can be pretzels, crackers, wafers, something small but something that will help induce that sleepy and warm feeling that carbs brings you. And my last point is for those that need some extra help settling down to sleep, or for those that cannot control the amount of noise or light that comes into their room when they are trying to sleep, invest in some earplugs or some eye mask. So that's it, guys. I really hope that you all enjoyed this video and learned something from this video. Sleep is very important, and I really want you all to understand just how important sleep is, understand a lot more behind the science of sleep, and hopefully with my tips and information, you'll get to understand the negative consequences of a lack of sleep and take some of the tips that I offered to improve your quality and quantity of sleep. So quickly before I end off this video, I wanted to make my announcement. I am officially Trinidad and Tobago's country coordinator for the IYAFP. The IYAFP is the International Youth Alliance for Family Planning. So I will have this unique position for 2 years, during which I will focus on the sexual reproductive health rights, Comprehensive Sexuality Education. If you want to learn more about this organization, I will link their website down in the description bar below. You can also check out their new country coordinators and check out Trinidad and Tobago if you want to read my write-up and my purpose behind this position. I just wanted to share that news with y'all because I am very excited and grateful for yet again another opportunity to make a difference in the lives of teenagers. Thank you so much for those that made it to the end of this video. If you are new to BrittneyOriel, please subscribe to this channel. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like. Please share this video and this channel with those that you think may be interested in what I have to offer here on YouTube. So guys, I really hope that y'all are having a great April thus far, and I do hope that the rest of your month shapes up to be a great one. Please have a great week, guys, and I will see y'all back here shortly. Thank you for tuning in yet again to BrittneyOriel. Have a great one, guys. 7 hours of sleep the day we had enough food. And this causes them to feel sleepy around, oh gosh, okay, almost got it. There are two factors. Your circadian time, your brain tells you when new.